Professor Namyong Lee's long-form commentary diagnosing the impact of legal subscription and access to North Korea's Rodong Sinmun on peace and security on the Korean Peninsula from the perspectives of cognitive warfare and unrestricted warfare. The decision by the Lee Jae-myung administration to legalize the circulation of Rodong Sinmun, North Korea's official party newspaper, with an annual subscription fee of approximately KRW 1.91 million, effectively throws open the gate to cognitive warfare and translates the theory of unrestricted warfare into practice. National security is not defended by artillery and missiles alone. What a society accepts as part of its legal everyday life defines the true boundary of security. Treating Rodong Sinmun as ordinary reference material, lowering barriers to access, copying and export, and institutionalizing legal subscriptions all shift that boundary downward. The core issue is not a single newspaper, but the transformation of the cost and efficiency structure of influence operations the moment a propaganda organ advocating a North Korean communist system is normalized. The decisive battlefield is not information, but cognition. Cognitive warfare does not occupy territory, it occupies judgment and social trust. Its objective is not persuasion, but confusion, not overt regime praise, but regime distrust, not external victory, but internal self-erosion. It begins before the first shot is fired and continues long after the guns fall silent. Its success is measured not in seized land, but in mistrust, polarization, and the collapse of collective mobilization capacity. The operating principle of cognitive warfare is an attack on trust, not on facts. Traditional propaganda proclaimed, "Our system is right." Modern cognitive warfare is far subtler. Direct praise triggers defensive reflexes and often fails. Instead, it reduces everything to a single question: can this country be trusted? Once that question spreads throughout society, policies are resisted, crisis responses are delayed, and communities turn suspicious of one another. When trust collapses, the state paralyzes itself. This is the ultimate objective of cognitive warfare. In North Korea's South-directed propaganda, cynicism is more powerful than praise. The objective is not the immediate communization of South Korea, but a long war to transform it into a society that no longer trusts itself. The message is not North Korea is right, but the Republic of Korea cannot be trusted. The tactics are well established. Grievance linking attaches messages to real frustrations such as housing prices, taxes, youth unemployment, inequality, and diplomatic anxiety. Context stripping repeats selected phrases or statistics in isolation. Counter-arguments are neutralized through a blanket "everything is fabricated" frame. Binary polarization demonizes opponents as patriots versus traitors or peacemakers versus warmongers, severing dialogue. Repetition and simultaneity flood multiple channels with identical frames at the same time, creating the illusion of public consensus. Finally, legal space penetration favors lawful appearance over illegality because legitimacy suppresses defensive instincts. Within this structure, Rodong Sinmun is not merely a newspaper. It is a condensed propaganda manual that supplies common language and attack frames for influence operations targeting the South. The most realistic risk of legal distribution lies not in explicit directive messages, but in signaling systems. Modern operations rarely rely on overt instructions in public media. Instead, open propaganda functions by providing signals, guidelines, and frames. Once legal circulation is established, several effects follow naturally. Agenda setting aligns which grievances to amplify, which terminology to standardize, and what to attack. Behavioral synchronization allows unconnected groups to act simultaneously, using the same keywords and logic. Legal camouflage hides organized influence activity behind the facade of citation and opinion. Repackaging effects explode reach. Even limited original circulation becomes unlimited once converted into excerpts, memes, subtitles, and short-form videos. Thus, The concern is not simple message delivery, but the creation of a shared framing structure for domestic pro-North influence networks. This is the real face of cognitive warfare. From the perspective of unrestricted warfare, cognitive warfare occupies the core. Unrestricted warfare does not confine itself to military means. It employs diplomacy, economics, law, finance, cyber operations, culture, information, and public opinion as instruments of war. It blurs the boundaries between war and peace, legality and illegality, and forces the opponent to incur internal costs voluntarily. Cognitive warfare sits at the center of this approach. It can destabilize an adversary's decision-making system without military confrontation. As social division deepens, defensive costs skyrocket. Legal controversies suppress response actors. When combined with economic, diplomatic, and legal warfare, it erodes the nation's overall trust premium. Legal circulation of Rodong Sinmun may appear as information access, but in practice it can fuel opinion warfare, psychological warfare, and legal space operations, the legal facade of unrestricted warfare. It degrades national trust without firing a shot. Defense must target organization and manipulation, not ideology. Fighting freedom of expression weakens the state. The target is not individual thought, but organized manipulation. The essence is design, systems that neutralize manipulation. The role of the US-ROC alliance therefore expands. A combined deterrence framework encompassing cognitive, cyber, and information warfare must operate continuously. Joint exercises should incorporate indicators of influence operations, platform manipulation patterns, and hybrid attacks combining cyber and psychological components. Social disruption-type provocations must be normalized as joint response scenarios in both peacetime and crisis. The National Intelligence Service should focus not on ideological policing, but on identifying and disrupting espionage networks, financial flows, and command structures. Organizational patterns such as mass accounts, synchronized dissemination, and cross-platform amplification must be tracked through data-driven methods. Front organizations, peripheral entities, and gray zone influence networks must be dismantled. Military Intelligence Command must continuously analyze shifts in North Korea's propaganda doctrine and its linkage to military provocations, refining early warning systems so changes in Rodong Sinmun signaling become operational indicators. Psychological warfare threats within the military and border areas must be detected preemptively. Counterintelligence Command must block infiltration, recruitment, and information leakage targeting military secrets, command systems, and critical infrastructure, responding rapidly to combined threats of propaganda, coercion, inducement, and blackmail against service members. Unified standards for internal cognitive defense education and security must be established. Immediate minimum measures are available. Establish unified standards for export, duplication, and mass reprocessing. Institutionalize continuous national education on decoding North Korean propaganda, including Rodong Sinmun. Ensure transparency in handling volumes, distribution channels, and cost structures to eliminate spaces of distrust. Any relaxation of online access must be conditioned on restricted sandboxes and robust technical defenses. Shift the focus of response from expression to organization, funding, simultaneity, and repetition. Clearly disclose permissible ranges, red lines, intervention criteria, and response procedures. In conclusion, the legal circulation of Rodong Sinmun is not a matter of the freedom to read. It is a stress test of the Republic of Korea's defensive design at the intersection of cognitive warfare and unrestricted warfare. Liberal democracy must endure uncomfortable information, but that freedom does not mean surrendering to organized manipulation. A strong state is not one that grows strong through censorship, but one whose liberal democratic and free market systems are mature enough to preserve freedom while neutralizing manipulation. Do we truly believe that the Republic of Korea has reached that level of maturity? One cannot help but harbour deep concern and apprehension. Thank you for watching Professor Namyong Lee's long-form commentary.